There's so much happening. What's going on, people? I'm Alex Thorn, and I'm a rock and roller who in his downtime likes to watch movies. And before we jump into this incredibly colorful and ever-expanding universe of a movie, I wanted to tell you about my latest single. It's called Bleeding Youth, and it's available now on all major streaming platforms. I've been getting so much positive reaction from all over the rock world. I've been featured on so many new playlists that I've never been on before, underground and proud, glam metal. So if you can do me a favor as a subscriber of this channel, and even if you're not, please go check out Bleeding Youth on your favorite streaming platform and share it on TikTok, and Instagram, Facebook, wherever you can. It'll really help me out a lot. But with that being said, let's get into Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse. Right up front, I want to tell you this movie is 2 hours and 16 minutes. 2 hours. Now look, I'm not going to say that I got bored at any point in this movie, but there was a point where I definitely found myself snoozing off because it was so long. I do not understand what's going on with filmmakers and studios these days making movies over 2 hours long or 3 hours. A movie like this that is so beautifully colored and so cool should be about 90 minutes max. 100 minutes, that's it. And what happens at the end of this movie, no spoilers, but what happens at the end of this movie will make you even more pissed off that you just spent 2 hours and 16 minutes watching it. This movie starts out with a really weird art style, to the point where I had to lean over and ask my son, is this what the original movie looked like? I took my son to go watch the original movie, and I was completely confused. 25-minute intro for Gwen Stacy and what's going on in her life. And not only what's going on in her life, but in that first 25 minutes, we also get introduced to the other new characters of this movie. Like I said, from there we go into Miles Morales' story. And Miles must have the most loose parents of all time, because he has gone so much and they see him so little, and it's obvious that he's always gone, yet he's 15 years old. That's the thing, and Miles has grown up and everybody is acknowledging it, and he's doing too much, and he's quickly introduced to his nemesis. I guess Miles Morales' main nemesis is not the Green Goblin or Doc Ock or Venom or anything like that. It's somebody called Spot. I love the story that Miles tries to do so much, and yet everybody else in the Spider-Verse is like, look, bad things happen. Certain things are canon. They have to happen, or else you screw up the entire timeline. And that's what this whole movie really is about, is timelines. The Spider-Verse, obviously, as we got introduced to in the first part, and Miles was not supposed to be Spider-Man. That spider that bit him came from another universe and ended up biting him, and it wasn't supposed to happen. He's not supposed to be Spider-Man. He's doing it all wrong. And of course, Miles is fighting all of that back because he's a teenager and everybody's calling him kid, and he's not a kid, even though he's 15 and clearly a kid and makes kid decisions and blah, blah, blah. That's what this whole movie is about. And Gwen Stacy has her own thing going on. And then there's a Indian Spider-Man. They said his name, and after that, I don't think anybody else said his name again, because there was no way you could remember that name after being said once. Scarlet Spider makes an appearance, which I was really happy about, because that was one of the freaking coolest looking Spider-Mans that came out when I was a young kid. Scarlet Spider looked awesome then. He looks awesome now, but they also made him like an obvious jock. And then there's absolutely, I mean, obviously the movie is a tour de force when it comes to graphics and just, wow, there's so much happening. And it is if you have a chance to go watch it in theaters, please go watch it. But also, if you have like a 75-inch TV and you still have a Blu-ray player, PS5, Xbox, please buy this movie and the first movie on Blu-ray and watch it on that 75-inch TV or that OLED, because it's going to look incredible. But there are so many cool scenes in this movie, and the one that sticks out is when all the Spiderverse people are chasing Miles Morales. I won't say why, but they are chasing him. And you get all of these cameos and special Spider-Mans that you didn't expect to see. There's so many cool looking Spider-Mans that came out that were there. But then there was also some, like a handicapped Spider-Man. I'm pretty sure there was some fat Spider-Man back there. And fat Spider-Women. I can't give away too much more of this movie. Like I said in the beginning of this, you sit there for 2 hours and 16 minutes. Then at the end of this movie, you're like, come on now. But and I'm sure that's going to come out as time goes on with this movie. And the next movie is called Beyond the Spider-Verse. The performances are all great, but there is one thing that I will say. There's this habit within movies now to not put as much effort into the voices. And when I say that, I mean like everybody is nonchalantly reading their lines like it's a table read, instead of like, this is the live action, like this is where you put the effort in there because you're on a train and it's moving fast and it's going off the rails and you guys got to yell at each other and there's all this stuff happening. It's like, I know it's a purposeful direction. It has to be, because this isn't the first time I've seen it just in this movie. I've seen it in other things too, and it tends to be like a new thing of the last 5 or 7 years for animated movies to just downplay the voices and make them more nonchalant and less heroic and less epic. That's one thing I noticed in this movie. The other thing is, for as amazing as the visuals are in this movie, they can be too much. I kid you not. Gwen Stacy's world is just too much for my eyes. There's this weird habit of everything changing constantly. With every screenshot or with every shift of the camera, her background changes. Whoever she's with, their background changes. And then even the art style kind of changes. So it's just like really a lot sensory wise for your eyes to take in. Once it gets to Miles Morales' story, you kind of get used to that art style, and that's the bulk of the movie. But Gwen's 25 minutes in the beginning and some in the middle there is kind of like, oh my God, there's so much happening. My son loved it. My son was like zoned in. And this movie is for superhero lovers and for kids who can zone in that way. And I'm not going to say I didn't escape for a little while, but again, it's a little bit too long. So if I can give it anything, it's just a little bit too long. But it is an entertaining movie that is 2 hours and 16 minutes long. So with that being said, we're going to go to the bandana system to rate this movie. And on the bandana system, I'm going to give Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse 3 bandanas out of 5. I wish I can give it more. I really do. But I think if this movie hit that 95 to 100 minute mark and toned down some of the extra stuff, when you go back and think about the movie after you watch it, there's things that could be cut out. I give it right in the middle of the road. And, maybe one of these days I'll go back and watch the first one, because I legitimately have not watched it since I saw it in the theaters with my son. Maybe one more time after that, once it came out on streaming. But, I'd like to go back and watch that one and see if I feel the same way about that as I did this. Like, this is just too much type thing. So like I said, 3 bandanas. Are you going to watch Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse? Across Spider-Verse. Did you watch Into the Spider-Verse? Are you interested in superhero movies, or are you burnt out on them like I am? Let me know down below. Let's talk. I'm Alex Thorn, and it is almost 2 a.m. and we just got back from this movie. I gotta go to sleep. Alright guys, you know what I gotta do. Tomorrow I gotta rock out, and then I can watch some movies.